It was a very long speech, about an hour and a half. In the subtext of Hu Jintao's speech, what's going to change?
We haven't picked up many serious hints. It's a very comprehensive summary of existing policy programs. There is, of course, the emphasis of Hu's scientific development perspective, which probably will enter into the charter as one of the elements of the guiding ideologies. There is, of course, the emphasis on development, promising the Chinese people that they will be able to double their per capita national income by the end of this decade.
How are they going to do that? Are we going to see some speeding up of economic reforms? It also sounded like the state-owned enterprises are going to do very well in the next few years.
Exactly. Despite the understanding that China must develop the private sector to generate employment, to give the private sector a level playing field, yet the vested interests, namely the big state-owned enterprises and the local governments, they still want the resources, especially the state-owned banks' credits, going to the state sector. And the authorities agree that money going to the big SOEs may be the source for innovative technologies.
Is that realistic? Innovative technologies, innovation in a one-party state that doesn't seem to be pushing for political reform or much economic reform, really?
Well, it has been proved that with a concentration of resources and personnel, you can produce certain things. You can produce highly advanced military technologies. But whether this is cost-effective, that is another question.
Does that matter? Is it really a buildup of nationalism? Is that going to triumph over sort of capitalism and changing the way the economy works?
There is considerable appeal to nationalism. Hu Jintao talks about national revival. He also appeals to the idea of maritime power, maritime interest, and that certainly has the territorial disputes in mind, trying to pacify the people, promising the people that Chinese leaders will stand firm on these issues.
So in a word, the leadership lineup that will be coming out in the next week, any surprises in store?
Well, there is obviously a lot of competition, a lot of bargaining, largely between Jiang Zemin, the old leader, and the outgoing leader, Hu Jintao. But the short list is quite familiar. We should not expect any surprising names.
So the only change is continuity?
Yes, the whole idea is to maintain continuity and to make sure that the leadership succession process, in the absence of democracy, is relatively predictable and smooth.